Like this video? Why not subscribe? Welcome to Q&A Mondays here at MH News. I'm your host, Matt Haslam. And as always, if you want your question read on the show, please go to mhnews.info and submit using our brand new online form. You can also comment below on Facebook or YouTube, or private message me on Facebook to get me all those great questions for the show. First question today: what was the hardest challenge in making a film? I would say if you're working on a feature film or a short film, the hardest part is writing it. You're starting off with a blank canvas, and it's basically up to you where that story goes. And so the hardest part is writing it, because when you're in production for a feature film, it's kind of easy. I know it doesn't, that shouldn't be a statement, but it's kind of easy because you have a script. You know, hey, we need 5 actors for this scene to play it out. We need this actor over here. We need this actor over there. And we need them to say these lines. We need a big explosion here. We need a car chase here. It's all pretty much done for you. And then in editing for a feature film or a short film, again, it's kind of all done for you. You have all the footage, but it's up to you what footage you use and what take of that scene you use. But for the most part, you're following that script. And so it's kind of easy. For a documentary, it's completely different because it flips to the other side of the table, where the biggest challenge is actually editing it. For instance, a couple months ago, we did an interview for a documentary with a woman who basically said, you know, most of my life I lived at this address, and I lived at this home, had lots of great memories there. And so for us, the very next production day for that documentary was kind of easy to figure out where we were going to go. You could just follow that story. And so for us, that next step was just going to that lady's home. So it's kind of, you're just following that story until that story runs out of leads for other parts of the story. And in editing, it's up to you as an editor what you use. And in the end, most documentaries that we film have at least 10 hours of footage for every maybe 2-3 minutes of footage we use in the end documentary. So it's very difficult to say, here's what we're going to use, here's what we're not going to use. And as an editor, you still have to tell that story, and you somehow have to tell that story. You know, if an interview is 2 hours long, you have to tell that interview, the whole story of that interview, in a matter of an hour, but you have to combine that interview with other pictures, with other interviews. You have to still tell the same story. You can't change the story. You have to still tell the same story, but you have to do it in a lesser amount of time. So I think that's the hardest part. Next question: how do you balance your projects and personal life? Do you schedule yourself using a calendar or organizers, or do you simply have a routine method? One of the most difficult questions I've ever gotten is easily this one, because I don't balance it well. I think as someone in the entertainment industry, you can't balance it. There is no balance. You have to, a lot of times, you have to realize in entertainment industry, you know, it's not the most financially friendly career to choose. So when a job comes along, you have to choose the job. And, you know, that a lot of times means you sacrifice time with your family and your friends. And you have to realize that, you know, when I'm going out to the movies with my family, or if I'm going out to the casino with my friends or something like that, then I think you have to realize, hey, where do I get the money to go out with my friends? Where do I get the money to buy groceries? Where do I get the money to do all this? Well, it's from the jobs that I do. So I have to sacrifice time with my friends and my family, and I have to say to my friends all kind of understand at this point, and they are very, very nice about it, and I'll credit them for life for being accepting of that. But they realize, hey, you know, work for me has to come first, because a lot of the different products I do don't pay that well. Some of them don't pay at all because they're products that I'm producing or something like that. And you have to realize sometimes you do a lot of work for free to kind of get a job for very little. And so definitely a difficult career path, but I think for me, products have to come first and personal life is later, because you realize I can't do the personal without the professional. And so that's kind of the balance for me. And sometimes it works out well, sometimes it doesn't. But I think a good little video to help you with that, if you're having a struggle with it, is to watch, I think it was Season 2, Episode 9, Getting the Shot While Enjoying the View. I'll link to it in the description below. That'll help you at least with trying to balance that. And it's kind of up to you if you do balance it well or not. So that would be my answer. But it is definitely a difficult balance to do. And if you find a way to do it, then congratulations. For me, I try my best to have like the weekends off, but in the entertainment and business, especially as a lighting and sound engineer or as a performer in the live entertainment world, you only work on nights and weekends. So the only time I have off is during the weekdays, and as a filmmaker, the only time I work is during the weekdays. So it's kind of all work for me, but it's fun. I think you, in that respect, if you're gonna not balance it, then you have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy your job. Most of the friends I have are in the filmmaking world, so I work with them on a daily basis. You know, so you say, oh, well, I want to hang out with my friends. Well, I am hanging out with my friends. It's only on set. You know, so most of my friends, most of my family is actually crew of mine. So it's like I get to hang out with my friends and family all the time, but it's just working, you know? So I think if you find a way to do it, congratulations. Next question. Do you have any theater experience? Did you enjoy it? How does it differ from film? Ooh. I do have theater experience, and from the live event world. Back in high school, I was in theater. College, I was in theater group. I loved it. I still am an actor. I'm still, doing theater as much as I possibly can. I'm not really in a theater group right now, but I think I'm in filmmaker groups, so that kind of makes up for it. But I think the difference between the two is that in a theater world, everything's seen by the audience, So you're doing all these scenes, but the stage is a blank canvas. And so whenever you're on stage or anywhere near the stage, there's plenty of theater shows where the cast comes into the audience and involves the audience in the show. So as a theater experience, I think it differs because, in the film industry, people go to a theater and they just watch a movie. So you have to basically, in a film, somehow get the audience to feel like they're involved with that scene without them being involved with it. In theater, if you want to do that, you just have a couple actors go into the audience and start to dance or something like that in the aisles. In film, you can't do that. You have to somehow bring the audience into that scene. And they sometimes do that with like POV type cameras, but I think it differs because in film, you're choosing what they see. You're choosing what they're not seeing. And with theater, you kind of do that, but it's all live, In film, it's not live at any means, so you're filming everything, and you have months and months to plan and edit and everything you need to do, so that way in the end film, your audience isn't seeing what you don't want them to see. In live event world, they're seeing everything, so that's kind of the difference. Next question. Thoughts on Jurassic World? I love me that film. Oh my god, I love that film. I loved Jurassic Park and all the films before it, but I love Jurassic World so much. There was so much great cinematography in it, great showing of VFX in it, and I think Jurassic Park was maybe a little bit better, but Jurassic World had the newer age type of amusement park feel to it. So it was like, I love, like, spoiler alert here, but I love the kind of hint to Jurassic Park not being there anymore with the guy wearing the t-shirt in the control booth. I love that. And, it's like, at the end, it was like, oh, shocker, it all went wrong. You have a park with a bunch of, dinosaurs and something goes horribly wrong. Well, that was a shocker. Like, that's never happened in every other Jurassic Park movie. But it was interestingly done. So I loved it. I very much encourage watching it. It was like, I think one of the biggest box office sellers recently. So go check it out. There's a reason. If something gets that much fame and to the top of the box office charts, there's a reason for it. So if you're a filmmaker and going, do I watch it or don't I watch it? If it went to the top of the box office, go watch it, because it's worth it. Because you need to take inspiration from it. Because if they're doing it that well, you need to see what they did so well. So go see it. Last question. How do TV and film differ from a technical standpoint? Well, TV, you only have so much of a scope of color that you can go in, and so it has to be a certain spectrum of the color spectrum. Film, not really. You can do pretty much anything you want for the most part. Later, if you want your film to be on TV, then you have to accommodate the Rec 709 spectrum, but I think that's how TV and film differ on a technical standpoint. TV, you have to incorporate commercials. You have to incorporate breaks where you're going to have commercials, or on a public broadcasting thing, you're going to have a pledge drive. You need to incorporate that. In film, you better have your interest up 100% of the time, because people don't have those breaks, TV has a lot of cliffhangers because come back after the commercial break or come back next week to see what happens. Film, it's one thing. So you need that interest kept the entire time. So I think from a technical standpoint, you need that interest, and the color spectrum is a lot wider for film than it is for TV. So that's what I would say a technical standpoint. I keep on saying that. So that's our questions for today. If you'd like your question read on the show, please go to MHNews.info and submit using our brand new online form. You can also comment below on Facebook or YouTube, or private message me on Facebook with all those great questions. And also go check out our last week's episode on how to build a custom ATA case for a very low cost. You can also check out this Friday's special show. It's a special event on YouTube that we're doing. I don't want to tell you all what it is yet because it's going to be a surprise, but it's my birthday and I'm really excited to do a special event here on YouTube. So go check that out as well. And thanks for joining us today, and see us back here every Monday and Thursday for brand new episodes. Have a great week, everyone. Bye. The first step in building a professional case is to find a pre-made ATA case. Now, ATA stands for Air Transport Association, and any case with an ATA rating is safe to travel on an airplane. The next step is dry fitting your gear, and maybe try some different configurations to ensure you are getting the most out of your space. After all, the whole point of this is to cut down on how many cases you need to carry with you every single time you go into production. Now that we found a configuration which works well, it's time to add some foam.